Hey everyone, this is Mason. Welcome back to the HerbRally podcast. Today's episode is with herbalist Missy Rohs. She's the co-instructor and co-founder of the Arctos School of Herbal and Botanical Studies based in Portland, Oregon. I actually took their apprenticeship a few years back. To learn more about Missy and her school, you could go to arctosschool.org. That's arctosschool.org. And today's episode is basically just a little snippet of her class called Must Have Books. This must-have herbalism books, and it's from our new member area. It's called the HerbRally Schoolhouse, and each week we release new and exclusive content to our HerbRally Schoolhouse members. The member area only costs $10 a month. We also have an annual option for $100 a year, which essentially gets you 2 free months per year. But I just decided this about 2 seconds before recording this. We want to do a coupon code for our podcast listeners, and to get your first 30 days for free, just use coupon code PODCAST. So when you're at checkout, enter coupon code PODCAST, and you'll get your first 30 days for free of the HerbRally Schoolhouse. That way you could kind of check out and see what we're doing. Amanda and I have been busy recording with a lot of different herbalists. We've got a couple trips coming up, and we're going to be recording a ton more content with all sorts of herbalists for the HerbRally Schoolhouse. One more time, if you'd like to get your first 30 days for free of our new member area, the HerbRally Schoolhouse, just use the coupon code PODCAST at checkout. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Just a short little snippet from Missy Rohs' class, Must Have Books. I'll talk to you later. Take care. A little bit of housekeeping before we get into the show. The content in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to cure, diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease. This information has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. We are not doctors, nor do we play one on the internet. Please seek advice from a qualified healthcare professional. Okay, MC Calico, take it away.
Yeah. Smoking herbal blends. We need some Mullen and some Kush, my brethren. While listening to HerbRally podcast again. Herbalism at its finest with Mason Hutchinson. Yeah.
So I often get the question from folks who are just starting on their herbal journey, what is the best herbal to get? And there's no one right answer for that. There are so many great herb books out there, and honestly, none of them cover everything that you want to know as an herbalist. So I don't have just one book to answer that, but I do have a lot of favorite books, and especially favorite books for folks who are beginning their herbal studies, or even that are just, intermediate herbalists. Most of these books have a ton of gems that are great even for people who have been herbalists for decades. So check them out if you haven't yet. Rosemary Gladstar's Family Herbal is totally one of my very favorites, especially for folks who are just getting to know plants and who really want to make stuff. And this is an old version of this book. The newer version is published under the name Rosemary Gladstar's Recipes for Vibrant Health, I believe. Exact same book, exact same cover, just different name. Even the pagination's pretty much the same. So it's really great because Rosemary Gladstar has a gift of making herbalism really accessible without dumbing it down. And when I first started looking at this book, I had taken some herb classes already, and I was like, well, these are just recipes. This is, I just kind of didn't really give it a second look at first. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is just recipes. And that's where the brilliance is. There's a section for kids, for elders. She separates it out to men and women sections, which may be a little bit more gender essentialist than I am, but it's still super useful. And so, let's see here. We're looking for the for children section, and I'm just flipping open to something. And you can find things like colic and what to do for colic, and She's got little subsections here about different approaches like avoiding caffeine, creating a relaxed environment, and then she goes into her actual recipes that you can make at home with powdered marshmallow root and powdered cinnamon and such. Or you could look up her tea for chickenpox and measles. And, it's just got a lot of super pragmatic things. But there's also things that are a lot more fun too. I, of course, just flipped open to the anti-yeast tea. Maybe not the most fun part of the book, but super helpful for folks who are suffering from yeast infections. But there are things like fertility and potency syrup that has just like a ton of super fun things in it, like ashwagandha and milky oats and raspberry leaf and damiana and nettles, things that are just like really juicy and vibrant. And she doesn't just stick with teas and tinctures. She also does things like bath blends, sore muscle rubs, all kinds of stuff. So it's really useful. And then at the end, you've also got each herb, just a little outline of each thing: Oregon grape, oats, mullein, that kind of stuff. So you can look up each herb as well. But it's a good one for getting your hands dirty, like right off the bat. And then my other favorite for that is Rosalie de la Foret's Alchemy of Herbs. And Rosalie is just such a cool herbalist, lives up in Washington State.
And that's going to do it for today's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the HerbRally podcast. If you'd like to hear more from us here at HerbRally, we now have a text message community, believe it or not. Basically, it's just updates from us. We send about 1 to 7 texts per week, notifying you about new events, videos, courses, podcasts. You get the idea. It's pretty much like our email newsletter, just in text form. So if you'd like to receive text messages from HerbRally, just text JOIN, that's JOIN, to the number 541-256-2895. Again, that's JOIN to number 541-256-2895. And to stop receiving texts, that's easy too. Just text STOP to the same number. It'll opt you out immediately. Okay, thanks again for listening. Have a great rest of your day.